Hi, I'm Sarah. This is a tutorial of how to access the splits. So whether you already have quite a strong splits practice or whether it's something that you just haven't accessed yet, this is a 3-part tutorial that you can either watch and practice independently, or you can kind of put them together and for this longer, deeper practice. I've got Ida demonstrating for me. And if you have relatively tight hamstrings or don't enjoy just having your hands down on the mat, you can just use 2 blocks. So underneath the hands, and they'll give you kind of extra arm length so that you can reach down with a straight leg. We're also using a strap, so if you don't have a strap, you can just use like a belt or a tie, anything. That's kind of all you need. Come down onto your back. Bring the feet together, knees apart. Reach back for opposite forearm. And then reach the forearms actively back. Allow the armpits to be exposed upwards, so there's almost this external rotation of the shoulder. And then kick the heels firmly into one another, and then feel kind of the relationship that has with your hips. So as you kick the heels in, maybe the adductors engage, and you can drive your knees actively a little bit further out, away from one another and down. So you create this traction through the inner leg. Then as you inhale, feel that you can breathe and broaden through the back of the rib cage, but you can also broaden outwards, so that the ribs, it's like they're drawing it away from one another, away from the central line axis of your spine. And then as you exhale, feel this magnetizing sensation as if you are pulling back towards the spine. Try to relax the jaw. It's really tempting to squeeze your teeth and clench the mouth, but then this will kind of have a really direct impact on what your hips are doing. So feel that as you relax your mouth and your eyes, you might be able to relax your hips a little bit more. Try to bring your tongue to the roof of the mouth and allow the mouth to remain spacious. And then lengthen your left leg. Bring your right shin to the chest. Take your hands around the shin. And then try to actively press your right hip forwards. Keep this left leg heavy. And then bring the right knee both up and in. So you're trying to lengthen through the front of your thigh and the back of your glute. Try not to tense your mouth still. And then the left leg is really dense and heavy. And you can even kick your left heel away as if you were standing on the mat. And that will help activate the quad and help kick the heel away. Take a few breaths here, just allowing yourself to kind of enjoy this really mild stretching your hip flexor. And then you'll take your strap. I'm using an infinity strap. I just prefer these because they're kind of easy to use, but you just use any strap and you can just tie a loop in the end of it. Take it around the ball of your foot. Take the hands into the strap. So if it's one that has 2 ends, you just take one into each hand so that the shoulders remain equal in the kind of the girdle of the back body. And then the flesh of your right thigh is rolling outwards. Still, this left hip is nice and heavy. And then as you inhale, broaden, breathe not just into the rib cage, but breathe as though you can breathe into the back of your hamstring. And then as you exhale, kick the heel away and bring the toes closer towards you. So even if there's no physical movement, use this breath as if it was moving, as if you were moving deeper. And eventually over time, the more times you practice it, the more you will move. And then try to flex your foot so that the knee is extended. So you will still get a stretch in your hamstring if the knee is bent, but you won't get one in your calf. And a lot of the time when we're working towards our splits, we just think about the hamstrings, stretch, stretch, stretch. But actually, it's a lot about the stretch of the back hip flexor and the back psoas and the backs of your calves. That's what will help you find this squared hip, safe, deep splits. So that's what we'll be focusing a lot more on the front body and the hip flexors as much as kind of the hamstrings. Take both straps into your left hand, keep your right hip drawing forwards, but then bring the foot 2 inches to the left. And then press the hip forwards, put your toes up. Just get this nice stretch, hopefully all the way to the IT band. Roll the flesh of the thigh away from you, soften through your mouth. Keep this left leg nice and heavy. Release your strap. Lengthen the right leg all the way down to the mat. And then bring your left leg up. Squeeze the knee into the chest. Bring the knee both up and down. And then roll the flesh of your left thigh down. See, this right hip already wants to rise up, but you roll the flesh outwards. The hip and the pelvis is heavy. Kick the heel away as if you were standing on the mat. Soften your shoulders. Nape of the neck is long, and then pull back through the crown of your head. And then lift the leg, take the strap around your foot. And then take your hands to the straps. Then again, extend your left hip forwards. And then again, we really want a nice long hamstring, but we want a flexed foot and an extended knee. So for some of you, in order to straighten the leg, you might have to bring your leg much farther away from the body, and that's fine. It's better to have it farther away and a straight leg than a really bent knee really close to you. So just kind of explore the edges of your posture. So you can kind of move to the edge of the posture, and as long as it's manageable, just bypass it. And then you move back, and then you move a little bit further forward. So this constant traction of moving back and forth into the posture. Keep rolling the flesh of the left thigh down. And then this time taking both straps into your right hand, bring your left arm out to the left side, and then just bring the toes 2 inches to the right. Keep bringing the hip forwards, and then keep lengthening those hips all the way to the front of your mat. So again, that left side is probably going to want to hike up, and we shorten through the left side of the body, but let's try to extend all the way from your armpit to your hip so we remain really long in the side of the waist. The shoulders are soft, there's a space to the backs of the teeth, and you just breathe fluidly through the back of the throat. Take a big inhale, and then exhale, drop the leg all the way down to the mat. And again, don't be concerned with whether the foot comes down or not, rather think about bringing your left hip forwards and extending through the side waist and allowing the shoulders to feel soft. So the foot will just come down with time. You can roll onto the outer edge of this right foot like Ida has, if that feels comfortable. Continue to draw the heel away from you. And then use the strength of your belly. Lift the leg up through the center. Contract so you don't hike into your back. Take the straps into your left hand. Draw your left hip forwards. Keep this right leg heavy. And then allow the leg to come all the way out. And then continue to draw the heel away from you. Soften through your shoulders, lengthen through the belly, and then allow the flesh of the thigh to keep drawing away. And then feel the more that this flesh rolls out, the more that you can almost open through your groin. So you want to find this space all the way from the hip flexor, the psoas, which is attached to your abdomen here, and then it draws down and is attached to your quadricep. So we want to find these two opposing energies of these 2 points moving away from one another. And as we create traction, we can begin to stretch deeper into the groin and the psoas. Really important for our splits. Bring the leg to the center, contract, and then let go of the strap, take it to the side, and then just release your left leg. You can reach your arm and your leg back away from one another, stretch nice and long, and then squeeze the knees into the center. Take the forehead to the knees, take the hands around the shins, and then just rock yourself back and forth until you feel comfortable enough to come up to a seated position. And then you'll cross your shins, press into your hands, child's pose. And just take a few breaths here. So find this traction through the side waist, press into your fingertips, and then broaden through the spaces between your fingers. So you're really actively driving them away from one another. And then ground down into the backs of your fingers and the backs of your knuckles, and then feel a softness in the very pad of your hand. So they're almost like starfish, so you don't want to completely suck down through the actual pad, but instead there's this small amount of space of air underneath the actual palm of the hand, and rather the fingers drive down. Press into the fingers, tuck your toes, come to downward facing dog. And then continue this as you press firmly down into your hands, grow the fingers away from you, and visualize almost as though the hands were made of roots. The roots grow out the palms, and then they almost kind of bypass the mat and move to the ground below. So you're really grounding into this steady, stern, kind of stable environment past just the surface of your mat. Soften your toes and then grow your toes away from the heel of the foot, and then grow your heels back and away. So it's like you're really maximizing the surface area of your hands and your feet. So you're on this really stable foundation. And a good indication to whether your down dog is the right length is to slide forwards to a plank. And if you don't need to shuffle, then it's right. Then lift back up to down dog. So if you needed to shuffle your feet back or forth to your plank, then it might be an indication that your down dog is either too short or too long. So you just want to reach back to down dog and be like, okay, I should be able to move fluidly from one to the other. Good, slide forwards to a plank position. Kick the heels back, press down into your hands, and then as you press down into the hands, feel almost as though you are lifting out of your armpits, like you're holding something in your armpit like a golf ball. And then round through your shoulders, press my hand away, press away, good. So there's like a roundness in your back body so that all of the muscles of your back are switched on. We're not just hanging out in the wrist joints. Drop your knees and tuck the toes. Keep the tailbone long, drive the navel in, and then look forward 6 inches, bend your elbows, half chaturanga, shoulders in line with hips. Then from here, slide down onto your belly, come into cobra. Press into the hands, squeeze the heels of your hands firmly back in space, so as if you were pulling them energetically towards your hips. And then simultaneously, feel where your pubic bone is, or the line of your pants maybe, and then pull that forwards towards your chest. So it's like these two opposing energies pulling back and forth. So there's a contraction through your abdomen, and then feel the vertebrae behind your heart, and then lift them up, so that any back bend occurs in this middle back, not in the lower back. Press into your palms, tuck the toes, downward facing dog. So for some of you, moving through your vinyasa like this, knees down, and then into cobra is going to feel really good, and that's a really legitimate way to move through your vinyasa. Otherwise, if that felt easy and you want to move maybe a little bit deeper, then we'll move through a full variation. You'll slide forwards to a plank, shoulders over wrists, kick the heels back. Feel that your inner adductors are extending. So as you kick your heels back, you're even lengthening away out of the groin. So from here, you always have the option to drop your knees if that feels more comfortable. Otherwise, bend your elbows, chaturanga, shoulders in line with hips. Good. Inhale, slide forwards, up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. And then for the whole of your practice, you're always welcome to just skip the vinyasas altogether. That's fine as well. Soften through your mouth. Find that space between the backs of your teeth, and then allow the tongue to feel soft. Press down into your hands, press down into your feet. And then step your feet forwards behind your wrists. Come to a nice forward fold. Either your feet together, that's a really good way to be. If you have particularly tight hamstrings, then you might feel more comfortable with them hip distance apart. The same if you are pregnant, if you have an injury in your hamstring, it's probably going to feel better with the feet directly underneath your pelvis. So probably like the distance of 2 palms away. Otherwise, the hands can come down to mat. And you can also remember, if your hamstrings are tight, you can use bricks under your palms. Otherwise, from here, inhale, look forwards, extend. If you don't reach onto the fingertips, you can take your hands to the shins. Exhale, refold. Press down into the feet, soften through the mouth. Inhale, extend. Extend through the crown of the head, look forwards. Each vertebrae of the spine pulls away from the one behind it. And then again, we're really interested in this middle part of your spine, so this column, the corridor of the body. So feel that the middle is created by this traction of the front and the back, these opposing forces pulling away from one another. So actively lengthen the skin of your lumbar spine towards the bum, and then the crown of the head towards the front of the room. And then feel that you can lift and breathe into the intercostal muscles. Exhale, refold. And then as you cascade over the thighs, allow the neck to feel long. Look at your shins or your ankles. Inhale, look forwards, extend. Last time, broaden. Breathe into every single rib, every vertebrae. So we want to find those fibers in between the vertebrae. And then when we can breathe into those spaces, we might be able to breathe into the knots that we create within our daily lives. Exhale, fold forwards. This time, press into your feet, raise your arms all the way to the sky. Look up to the thumbs. Find a drishti, so a focus. This is going to help you kind of add this meditative aspect to your practice. Exhale, fold forwards. Take a big inhale, broaden, breathe into the back of the chest. And then exhale. Good. Inhale, press into your feet, raise your arms, gaze all the way up to the thumbnails, and then follow your thumbs with your eyes. Give your mind a focus. Exhale, fold forwards, Uttanasana. Inhale, extend, lengthen. Exhale. Good, press into the feet, raise the arms, look up at your thumbnails, and then find this drishti, this focus. Last time, exhale, fold forwards. Your knees can be bent this whole time. Inhale, look forwards, or your hands can be on bricks. Just finding whatever the best modification is for you, folding forwards. Now stay in your forward fold, kind of get yourself comfortable, just let the head go. Broaden through your feet. Then press into your left foot firmly, bend your right knee, flamingo. And then the right heel comes towards the right bum, bring the knee to the nose. Soften through your shoulders, lengthen through the neck. And the more you squeeze that heel to the bum, the nicer the stretch in your quadricep, or nice, depends what your idea of nice is. Step back with the right foot, lengthen through the side of the body. Look forwards, bend the left knee. Come onto your fingertips and then feel that you can even breathe space into the ribs. And then drop your back knee, drop your back toes. Take both hands to your left thigh. Press the left thigh forwards and away. And then you can even take your hands like into these triangles or L shapes. You take the flesh to the back of the right thigh and you roll it out. So the hip is rolling forwards. And then you take your left hand to your left thigh and roll that flesh away from the midline. So the right thigh rolls into the midline and the left thigh rolls out to the midline. Pull up through your pelvic floor, pull down through your tailbone, and then breathe into the thoracic spine, the mid-back. And then try to find this lift. So you're not just dumping the weight into your lower lumbar spine, you're actually pressing down and then finding this resistance and lifting up. Again, we want to stretch really deep into this front quad, all the way to the hip flexor. Release the hands, tuck the back toes, downward facing dog. You have the option to skip a vinyasa, otherwise move forwards to a plank. Option drop knees or bend elbows. Inhale, up dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Good. Extend your right leg, three-legged dog. Try to bring the distribution of the weight into both of the hands. Try not to just lean onto the left side. It's tempting, but it's much more beneficial to keep that equality of your shoulder. Bend your knee, bring your right heel towards your left bum. And then see how you can lift the knee, create this traction as you squeeze your left heel both back and down, so that you're pulling those 2 points away from one another. And then draw big circles with that right leg. Soften through the shoulders, ground down through the fingers, and then just kind of be as intuitive as you want. Feel kind of what feels like the most appropriate, what kind of action feels the most beneficial. So we all have different bodies and different practices. It's never going to feel the same from person to person, and also just from day to day. Take the leg the other way. And then when you're ready, just extend your right leg back, three-legged dog. Draw your right knee to your right armpit, squeeze. Look towards the space between the thumbs. And then still even lengthen here. Inhale, three-legged dog. As you exhale, draw your knee towards your left armpit, squeeze, twist through the spine. Inhale, take it back. Draw the knee to the nose, round through your back body. Squeeze, exaggerate, look forwards to where you want the foot to land, and then flex your foot, press your shin forward, step it through. And some of you might need to use your hand to kind of heel toe with your hand forwards if you can't quite reach. Drop the back knee, drop the back toes. Take both hands to your right thigh, press your right thigh forwards. Soften through your toes. Then be mindful not to roll onto the little toe outer edge of your foot, that you ground firmly through the entirety of the foot and you're pressing into the inner and outer knife edges. Pull your right bum forwards towards your right heel, and then squeeze your left knee forwards towards your right foot. So again, it's this sense of pulling everything into the midline. So I always use this example of like pulling the skin to the fascia, this spider web material underneath the skin surface. And then the fascia is hugging the muscle and the muscle is hugging the bone. So we layer down and then everything is just kind of driving in. So nothing exists within a vacuum, that everything exists in, kind of coexists within one another. Just release the hands, step your left foot forwards to meet the right forward fold. Inhale, extend, look forwards. And then exhale, refold. Press into your feet, raise your arms, look up at your thumbs. Exhale, fold forwards, forward fold. Good, inhale, extend, breathe all the way into the crown of the head. Exhale, release. This time press firmly into your right foot, bend your left knee, come into flamingo pose. So the more you can squeeze it to the bum, the better. Try and soften your neck and then drive the knee towards the nose. Soften, press into the right foot, slowly step the left foot back into a lunge. Hands down. Right knee over right toe, lengthen, come onto the fingertips and then maybe extend and exaggerate forwards. And kick back with the back heel, active in the left leg, kick back. Good. Drop the back knee, drop the back toes. Take your right hand to your right thigh and then bend your left knee, take hold of your back foot. And then from here, try not to open to the left side, which is a different variation of the pose. Instead, lift your left hip bone forwards and up. Stack your shoulders in line, and then draw your left shoulder and left hip both forwards to meet the right. Squeeze the heel in, and then squeeze your left knee forwards to meet your right heel, so they're pulling towards one another. Then you want to feel the sensation like your left hip crease is pulling up towards your belly button, so that you tuck your tailbone and then you find this kind of extension of the navel cavity and you pull it upwards, and that should intensify the stretch in your left thigh. Release the back leg. Take the hands either side of your right foot, flex your right toes, half splits. And then kick this heel slightly back, exactly. And then feel that the head of the femur is rolling back into the socket. And then you're not worried about how far down you can go, instead, how far forwards can you move. Again, some of you might have a bent right knee, and you might also have your hands on bricks, giving yourself some more space. So again, it really doesn't matter, whatever variation or modification makes this the most accessible for you. You always want to push past your edge and stretch, but you always want to make sure that that push is manageable. Bend your right knee, tuck your back toes, downward facing dog. Option to stay here, otherwise move forwards to a plank position, move through a vinyasa, either the knees dropped or not. Inhale, up dog or cobra, and then exhale, downward facing dog. Good, raise your left leg, three-legged dog. Press down into your right foot. Then again, as you press down into your right foot, feel that almost this right shin bone is lifting up out of the ankle joint. The heel draws down, but also back in space as you broaden through the foot. Bend your left knee, open your hip, and then start drawing these big circles. Ground down through the hands. No space between the fingers, particularly the thumb and index finger. Good. And then when you're ready, change the direction, move the other way. Again, be as intuitive as you want. What feels good? What is the best variation? What is the best action here for me? And then extend your left leg, three-legged dog. Bring your left knee to your left armpit and squeeze. Bypass the wrist. So you want to flex through the front of the wrist, find that stretch. Take it back. Draw the knee to the right arm, squeeze, hover. And then inhale, take it back. Last time, bring your knee to the nose, round through the back body, squeeze the shoulders past your wrists, look forwards to where you want the foot to land, and then step the foot between the hands. Drop the back knee, drop the back toes. Take your left hand to your left thigh, press the thigh forwards, bend your back knee, take hold of the back foot with your back hand. And then try to bring this right shoulder and right hip forwards to meet the left. Lift up out of the waist. The flesh of your right thigh still rolls out, and the flesh of the left thigh rolls away from the inner edge. So the thighs are kind of rolling away from one another. Anchor the tailbone, pull it through your pubic bone, and then again breathe into the middle of your back. It's like every time you inhale, it's like you're broadening through the back of your heart, and you feel it almost puffing into the back of your shoulders. Then as you exhale, surrender back into the midline. Release the back foot, take the hands either side of your left leg, half splits. Flex the left foot, kick the heel away. Flesh of the thigh rolls back, broaden your knee, lengthen through the mid back. And again, feel this sense as these two opposing points, the back body and the front body, pull away from one another. Soften through your shoulders, and then bend your front knee, step your right foot next to your left, forward fold, take hold of opposite forearms. Just allow yourself to fold over the legs and just feel nice and heavy. There's no force, there's no push or pull, there's just kind of, this is just allowing yourself to surrender down into the asana. And you can spend as long as you want here. If you've got some extra time just hanging out in your forward fold, the longer you're here, the deeper the stretch. So that's the end of stage one. So you are welcome to repeat that as many times as feels good. So over the next few weeks, if you want to keep coming back to it, particularly if you're new to working towards the splits. And then once you feel really comfortable within those poses and it feels like you're ready to move forwards, you're welcome to come on to the second stage.